Welcome to Blindman Outdoors. I'm Dave, and I've been exploring my whole life, from my hometown in the Blindman River Valley to the jungles of South America. 4 years ago, I left an old life behind to chase a passion full-time. Now, I built Canada's Yucca Pac camper and the Alberta Outdoor Adventure Expo, all while continuing to explore and experience the great outdoors. You see, I believe we're called to live free and be wild, and if you do too, then this is the place for you. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dave, and this is Blindman Outdoors. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about gear. It is winter, fall season is here. Shoulder season is upon us pretty soon. The ice is going to start forming on the lakes, and the snow is going to fall. And you're going to have to start considering how you're going to want to camp through those cold seasons in a way that's comfortable and safe. Now, we've done a video, multiple videos on this channel before about heaters, and on today's episode, the heater that we're going to be looking at is made by H Calory. It's called the Tool Box. Comes in a complete package that you can just plug in and go. This is going to be a really neat system for you. Now, we're going to be talking a little bit about the application of diesel heaters as well as the technical details of the heater, because we do build adventure campers here. And I want to kind of give customers and people that are considering a camper a little bit of information as to how you can use your diesel heater. There's about 3 ways that we have seen customers and people with all sorts of campers use these diesel heaters, and we're going to go through them, talk a little bit about the upsides and the downsides to how the system works and what system you're going to be using, and then kind of just show you guys the heater and how it works. I have used this heater already. They sent me one. There was some issues with it from the fuel sender unit. The fuel line had gotten pinched during shipping. I'm assuming it was just kind of flopping around there. Took me a little bit to get it going, but once I did get it going, I had already reached out to H Calory and said, hey, this particular unit it's not running, it's not firing very well. It took me a couple hours to get it going. They're like, hey, no problem, we'll send you another one. And so we do have one, and we are gonna be giving one away. However, if you wanna win that heater, you gotta go over to our previous video, the one we just put out last week. Drop a comment on there, watch the video, like it, and you're gonna get yourselves entered to win this heater. Yeah, so let's just get into it. All right, guys, so we're just gonna crack into it here and show you what you're gonna get in the box. Inside the accessories, not only do they give you the diesel heater, but they do give you a few like permanent mounted install systems, so you can actually get a vent that comes with it. So they're gonna get a vent, you're gonna get your intake tube, you're gonna get your exhaust tube, and then you're also gonna get a section of vent tube. So this is it just expands out to where you want it. It's not a big chunk. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of this. It does expand quite a bit when you stretch it out, but also not a big chunk. So your heater is gonna have to be pretty close to your inlet in order for you to run it. Then you've got a muffler, so you don't bother your neighbors, keeps it quiet. You've also got an accessory wiring harness as well if you want to permanently install this thing. And then you get your clamps, some fuel filters, and then a standoff for your exhaust pipe and heater made out of stainless steel. So we'll just put that to the side. Then we've got the actual unit itself. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that it's a compact unit. It's really nice. It's got a big, grippy handle. You can grab this thing with gloves on and kind of haul it around. It's got a black plastic shield and then some perforated aluminum venting on the side. If we turn it around, you got the same thing on the back and then some hardware here. Now, with this particular model, I did have to actually remove these screws and get the fuel line inside that was pinching between here. Took me a while to figure out that's what was going on before they sent me the one behind it. But it works fine now, just as is. And then if we spin it around, you're gonna have your display. It does come with a little remote control. And then your diesel fuel is just right on the top here. You'll just unscrew that and your diesel goes right inside there. If you run your heater on low throughout the entire weekend, you're probably gonna get yourself about 2 nights, 8 to 10 hours of sleeping of continuous comfortable heat before you're gonna wanna top it up. Now, if you run it on high, you're obviously going to be wanting to do a little bit more. Now, it's important to understand too with a diesel heater like this that if you're going to be running this outside, you want a case that's pretty durable, especially considering the fact that while you're outside, it's really cold. And the heater itself might keep the case kind of warm, but the one concern I have with the design is these latches. So this plastic is extremely cheap. It kind of feels like, it feels brittle. And considering you have to use those to close your case, I'd be a little concerned that over time those are going to snap, especially in colder weather. But that being said, the case itself does seem really decent. It's a hard plastic. It's like similar to what you would find in like a toolbox, you know, which is probably why they call it a toolbox, or like a ratchet case or something like that. And overall, it's pretty light. It weighs about, I would say, 10 pounds. Comes with a digital display, and is 12 volt and 110 compatible. So one of the most interesting features with the toolbox is your AC to DC converter. This is a really nifty addition to a diesel heater because it allows you to plug it into any traditional wall 110 outlet and give your diesel heater some power. Now, another thing that allows you to do is that if you're carrying like a Jackery or an all-power system that's got like an inverter into it and you run your battery down on your truck, you can plug this in to that AC power inverter and still run your heater. So it's got some built-in redundancy to it, which I think is extremely important. And for a product of this price point to give you something like that is really, really interesting. And I think it's to be honest, it's really cool. As soon as I saw this, I was like, that's bloody neat. So shout out to H Calory for doing something cool like that. Now, one of the claims H Calory states is that they have an extremely quiet diesel heater. Now, I have run this thing without the muffler on it. That's how I've been running it. I typically don't put mufflers on my diesel heaters. And it is very quiet. It's extremely quiet, actually. So if you're worried about waking up your neighbors or running this thing and having it tick all night, you might actually consider this one as a good option. But as you can see, we've got it plugged in here. We're just using the 110 converter. If you were to plug this into an outlet, you would just use the standard cigarette plug style lighter connector. Got enough diesel fuel in here for this thing to fire up. I want to show it to you guys how it runs. We're in the shop here and the door is open. So the worst thing that's going to happen is you might get a little diesely in here, but let's do it. Let's push and hold that button. Set for H1. And then we're just going to let it warm itself up. What it's going to start doing is, because this is a diesel heater, what needs to happen is it's going to take that power and it's going to superheat what we call a glow plug. That glow plug is what's going to be responsible for igniting the diesel vapors and the diesel fluid inside of that combustion chamber. That glow plug needs to get really, really hot. So when your diesel heater is actually firing up, that's when it's drawing the most power. So anytime you turn it on or turn it off, for that first 1 to 3 minutes while that heater is getting timed up and getting ready to go, that's when you're going to be consuming a lot of your battery power. It's important to remember too that if you're running like a lithium system in the winter, it's really important that you have a heated lithium battery so that as long as you have a solar charge coming into that or some sort of charge, your battery will be able to discharge effectively. Lithium does not like the cold. That's why I think diesel heaters perform best when you have like a lead acid deep cycle RV style battery. We swap our batteries out here, both Jason and I, every winter. We bring out our lithiums and we put in our lead acid batteries. However, these days what's happened is that we've actually got heated lithium batteries now from a previous video that we've done. So we're going to be testing those this winter to see how well they actually do in the Canadian cold. So we're just firing up right now. We're still sort of in a fire up stage. We did use this heater on the last video. Just testing it out outside in the cold. We did a head-to-head with the expensive diesel heater that we have in the Yucca Pac, and it performed really well. It used about as much fuel as the other one did, and ultimately we weren't running it into anywhere. We were just letting it run outside almost at full bore, and it ran all night. It was still running when we got up, and I was super impressed with it because we dropped well below zero that night. All right, so you guys hear that? I'm gonna get the microphone close to this thing so you can hear the tick. You might not even be able to hear that tick. Right, but you can certainly hear that intake. and then if we come around back, if we spin it around, there you go. So you've got hot air coming out of here, and then you've got your exhaust fumes coming out of here. This is where you're going to connect that pipe to and run it wherever you want. Spin it back around so you guys can see the front. You got a little display here that shows you that, you know, you got air coming in and air going out. You can crank this thing right up. Like if we crank it right up, it will get fairly loud. But compared to some other heaters out there, like let's say even an 8 kilowatt standard heater, it is extremely quiet. I'm really quite impressed with it. Yeah. You know, we could even bring it over to its side again. Let me just zoom out here a little bit. Crack this open. Don't be afraid, guys. Like, these systems are really well. I mean, don't start sticking your fingers inside of electrical components or nothing, but if you look really low under here, you're gonna see a brown, a piece of exhaust that's brown. Now, one thing that a lot of people are gonna say, like, oh, you know, how do you have something that produces so much heat? How is it safe when it's inside of a plastic case? Well, what they've done is they've gone above and beyond, and they've actually wrapped their exhaust pipe inside with heat tape. That's like a thermal wrap that you put around exhaust to kind of protect it. And then you can kind of see your fuel running through here. And then the only thing that I wish they would have done a little bit better is put the fuel filter on this side. So right now what's happening is, if we zoom in here, this fuel hose is going in behind this heater core. And the diesel fuel filter is behind there as well. So you can't actually access it without pulling this. All right, guys, really quick now, I want to talk about the safety features of a heater like this. So if you look right here, that says off. But clearly, if you're listening, you can hear the air that's kind of pushing through there still. So when you're turning off your diesel heater, it's really important that you turn it off from its off switch, because what it's going to do is tell the system that you're turning the unit off. And so it's going to go through all of its final checks, and it's going to keep blowing cold air through that combustion chamber and then through that heat exchanger on the inside to cool everything down, which is really important when you're dealing with a diesel heater inside of a plastic case. So if you're sitting there and you're wondering, well, why is my diesel heater still running? Why is it blowing only cold air? It's probably because you turned it off properly, and you want to make sure that you do that. If you have a diesel heater permanently wired to a switch, and you're just turning that switch on and off, you have a good chance of getting soot and carbon buildup inside that combustion chamber. And then when you go to start this unit up, as that combustion chamber starts to get really hot, it starts to burn off all that unburnt carbon, creating a lot of smoke. So if your diesel heater is pumping out a bunch of black smoke, it's a decent indication that you didn't let it go through its final shutdown process. Once it is done, it kind of just turns off, just like that. So there's no more air going through it. The system is off. It's still plugged in, so it's still getting power. But that's sort of what you're gonna do. And then as long as you just don't touch this display, eventually it just goes to sleep. Now, if you look up top here, you're gonna see a little mountain symbol. That's gonna be your elevation setting. So right now, this one is set to about 1,000 meters above sea level, which is exactly where we are. We're about 0.9 of a kilometer above sea level where we're at. And that's really good. It also gives you a little clock, a little time on there. All in all, guys, I think this is a really good setup if you're looking to get into something not too expensive, affordable, packable, that has all of the safety settings that you're really going to want out of a diesel heater. All right, one other thing I wanted to mention just before we wrap everything up here is how do you carry all of your accessories? Now, it would have been super nifty if they would have just made this box just a little bit deeper so that you can actually carry your components. Like, I've got the exhaust pipe in here, I've got the intake pipe in here, but there's nowhere to kind of fit the actual ducting. and anything like that. So it would have been nice to just be able to do that. I guess it's not really that, because everything else fits in there, right? Like, this isn't that big of a deal. You can always just strap that, or, you know, do whatever you want with that. You're gonna want a longer piece than that anyway. But overall, as far as being able to mount stuff and carry stuff, I would say they've done a pretty damn good job at making this as portable as possible. Without making it too big, right? Like, this is about the size of a typical toolbox. I like that it's called that, because it does a really good job at keeping everything compact. But making it just a little bit bigger so that you can carry the actual components on the inside would be cool. And then some stainless steel pins. You'll notice if we look down in here, there's a little bit of rust starting to form on those pins. So they're not stainless. But outside of that, really excited to use that thing a little bit more this winter. All right, so we've kind of gone through the basics. It is a 5 kilowatt diesel heater. It's got safety functions galore. So it's got an overheating protection function. It's got an under or over voltage protection function. And then it's also got that clear out function that I'm telling you. Most diesel heaters will have those things. They have to be compliant with ANSI and CE specifications to be sold here in Canada. And this one does have those markings on it, which is a good thing. Right now on Amazon, this diesel heater is running anywhere from $400, $500, and $600. And for a system that you just take out of the box, plug it in, put diesel in, and away you go. I gotta say, you're looking at a pretty good bang for your buck. This particular one, I think, is going to do really well for an ice shack. I think we're going to be using it this winter for some ice fishing. There's three main systems of use that you can kind of use your diesel heater for. One, which is probably the most common one you've seen, and that's sort of just to hang it somewhere outside. The whole system sits outside all night. It runs outside, it pulls in fresh air from outside, and then you just have your hose coming up from your diesel heater into the side of your tent. A lot of tents have pass-throughs for diesel heaters. A lot of tents don't have pass-throughs for diesel heaters. It really just depends on the brand that you're going for. There's absolutely nothing wrong too with just kind of putting it through your door and zippering it tight. That's an extremely effective way to do it, especially in the wintertime. It's not like rain is going to get in there. Snow behaves differently when it falls than rain droplets, so you can just kind of stick it in there. Another way that you can do it is if you have a camper similar to like a Yucca Pac Safari or a Yucca Pac Sport, you can actually just run your diesel heater down below, close off your bed entirely, and heat up that space underneath of you. And what that's effectively going to do is it's going to heat your mattress, keeping all of that ambient temperature in your core. So your face might still get cold, your ears might still get cold depending on what kind of temperatures you're sleeping in. But the core temperature, the most important part of your body, you know, your heart, where your blood is moving through and all that, is going to stay relatively warm. And as it circulates through your body, it's also going to keep all the heat and the dryness from that air down below. So it might not help you for condensation up top, depending on what kind of system or what kind of camper or tent that you're running. Now, the other way that you can do it, which is the way that we here at Yucca Pac Campers encourage people to use their diesel heaters, is run them down below, but keep one of your bed panels open from below up into your sleeping area, so that as the heater's running, it's going to be pushing that air throughout the habitat system, and it's going to kind of keep the heat, most of the heat, down kind of below your tent, and then some of it radiating up through the opening in the bed panel. Now, if you don't have a camper that can do that, rocking some sort of system that has like a bed panel where you can't actually leave a portion of it open throughout the night, then another way that you can actually do this is just by kind of running your own port through your bed panel. Sometimes it requires modifying your mattress. That's the other way, is just to kind of have some of that warm air rising up into that tent. What that really does is it helps take care of condensation, which is really important in the wintertime. You can get condensation buildup on some of the exposed aluminum parts, or anything that's not insulated, and that'll kind of get frosty, and then you're having to kind of run your diesel heater on full bore in the morning before you pack up, because you don't want to be trapping some of that moisture inside. Your body's constantly putting off moisture, right? We're 98% water, and so we're sweating. It's coming out when we breathe. And things that hold moisture are releasing moisture as well. So if you're sleeping with a dog, for example, anything like that, you're gonna wanna keep your ambient temperature up to the point where dew particles, moisture particles can't form in the air. And that's where that forced air really comes in handy too. Now you can permanently mount something like this. One of the neat features about this diesel heater itself is that if you found a home that you just want this to live in, you could just strap it. You could just strap it down somewhere, run your exhaust out your camper anywhere you want, and then, you know, have it modular so you can just kind of pull it in and pull it out. Overall, I'm really impressed with the heater. If you're looking for something that is relatively affordable, it's a probably perfect Christmas gift, really. I would say pick one up. And if you guys want to win one, head on over to the previous video we did. I think it's like 24 hours with no food or water challenge that we did last weekend. And drop it down in the comments there. Watch the video, hit a like, and you'll be entered in to win one of these bad boys. So yeah, overall, guys, I'm really impressed with the product. I think it's a decent bang for your buck. I think if you're not looking to spend thousands of dollars, I think it's important to remember, and if you don't know how much traditional diesel heaters cost, like if you were to go with like a gasoline powered Esper heater, which, you know, we tend to install here in the Yucca Pac for gas powered vehicles, with install, that heater is going to run you $3,500 on average. The diesel heater version, like a Webasto or HLN or S-Bar, same thing. It's going to cost you about $2,000, you know, to permanently mount it. And for people that aren't converting their vehicles into full-time adventure use or want something portable, like just look at the size of this thing, man. Like it's quite small. This is your go-to. I would say this is probably your go-to. If you're really big on quality products, it can be a little bit daunting going into something economically priced. I get it, truly I do. But if you're looking for something that'll kind of get you into the space and then maybe upgrade later, H Calorie, baby. Head on over to www.blindmanoverland.com because we've started carrying the Echo camper line again. We've always kind of brought in the Chinese campers when people ask for them, but we're bringing them in and we're doing something a little different to them so that they actually meet our QC standards. So for people that are looking for a more affordable truck camper, you can kind of look at that. We've also got a new buyback program coming out as well. So if you do buy an Echo camper from Blindman Overland, you can actually, within like 1 or 2 years, you can take I think it's up to 60% of the purchase price of your Echo camper and put it towards the deposit of your Yucca Pac camper. And you know, when it comes to campers, the Yucca Pac is probably the strongest and it's probably the most bougie adventure camper you can buy. That's it. That's all. Much love to you. Microphone. Much love to you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this video. If you guys want to learn more, head on over to www.blindmanoverland.com. Head on over to that other video we posted last week and get yourself entered to win that diesel heater. Oh, and most importantly, remember, live free, be wild, and we will definitely see you on the next one.